Hey, hold on. Gather around, everybody. Listen up. I got a story to tell.
Christopher, you and I have talked. We talked in December about this movie. There wasn't a lot of details that you were ready to publish then, but for you and for Thor, this has been a movie that's been in the works for a while. So tell us a little bit about the history of this movie.
Thor, you start.
Okay. So, because Christopher comes in later, but it started about how long do we have here? Got about an hour. Okay, so I can wrap this up. Started
It's
about
a long story.
2000. I'll shorten it, Christopher. So 2009, I basically this is back when I had a career I cared about, but I had a manager who got me a meeting with Sony Faith. So I think they're called Sony Affirm now, but you know, I had written these two comedies for the general market, and the night before I went with friends to dinner, and I like gave them my 2-minute pitch. You know, like I was practicing for this meeting and giving them the 2-minute pitch of these screenplays that were completely finished, and like I was nailing it. And I'd started this other screenplay about the Christian subculture called Youth Group, which is what became Church People, but I only had about 30 pages of it. And so I went into this meeting and I pitched them these two ideas. And they're like, did you not plan for this meeting? Because it's like, you know, we're Sony Faith. We'd like a faith-based film. So do you got anything like? So I told them about this. Well, I got this idea about a youth pastor in crisis. And we want to see that. I'm like, give me a week. Because I didn't tell them I only had 30 pages. So I went home and I basically wrote the script that week. And then I sent it off to him. And there's a guy, he's still over there, a great guy named Josh Nadler. And Josh read it and called me back and gave me notes. And he did this 5 times. So it really shows what kind of guy Josh is. Because, you know, he took the time to, you know, call me 5 times on an unproven commodity, which is me. I was an unproven commodity in terms of acting and film, that's for sure. So, but at the 5th phone conversation, he basically says to me, what your script needs right now is a big idea to bring it all together. To bring all the characters together, you need a big idea. I'm like, okay, I'll just start looking for a big idea. I don't know what the big idea is, but it's kind of like, you'll just know it when you hear it. Well, I have a friend who's a church planter, and he called me up, and he says, you're not going to believe this. A church this Good Friday is crucifying a human being. I'm like, there's no way. Like, I'm looking at their website right now. And there's no way. I'm looking at their website. There's no way. So I go, I got to investigate this. So I go online, and it turns out it was false. But they're advertising. They were just doing a passion play, but they were going to make it so gory that they had all kinds of warnings about the blood and if you're squeamish and all kinds of, and it seemed like they were actually going to crucify someone. So what occurred to me is that so many pastors in the evangelical church in the past years have done so many crazy things, whether they're, you know, out of probably good motives, but they've done crazy things to attract people to church, that for a moment, my friend and I believed that an American evangelical church would actually crucify someone on a Good Friday to draw a crowd. And I go right then, I go, there's my big idea. And so that kind of became the crux of the story. And so once I had the script written, and this, of course, this is 30 rewrites ago, but once I had the original draft, then I just started looking for filmmakers. I go, I just want to get this made. You know, I just wanted to gather a group of, you know, I didn't have enough uncles. Had I had some uncles, I could have just grabbed my family together and we would have made the film. But I didn't have that big a family. So, but I was just looking for filmmakers and so Christopher, who, and I'll tell you, Chris, now he's married now and has a child and it's all great, but I met Christopher when he was lonely and single, and this is how lonely and desperate he was. He was filming his goldfish and making videos about his goldfish. I'm not making that up.
Hey, that makes me feel good about the cross.
That's right. He's talking to his goldfish, making videos. And but you know, the videos were really good. It's like it's like to make a goldfish interesting. I'm going, all right, he's got some filmmaking chops. So I contacted him on Facebook, and that's how Christopher and I met. Now I'll let him pick it up from there.
are we done laughing at my gold?
We're laughing with you,
The
Christopher, not
secret,
at you.
guys.
Of course. So I was making these. So I came out of a really unhealthy living situation. I was living with a bunch of roommates in a house, and I needed to get out. So I left that house and moved into my bachelor pad at the time. And so I felt like the Lord was really working on my heart, and that I needed to laugh. And so I had a subscription to christiancinema.com. And at the time, they had the whole kind of Netflix style queue where you could get a DVD in the mail. I was getting one at a time. I went to their comedy section and pretty much alphabetical order. And early in the alphabet is Bananas Comedy, because, you know, it starts with a B. Anyway, I'll let you do the joke, Thor. So, anyway.
Well, then I'll have to interrupt you a lot.
What else is new? so anyway, Thor was the host of Bananas for 3.5 seasons, and he'll have to explain the half part to you. But I was devouring these comedy DVDs, and there was a clean comedian on as a guest. A lot of them were Christian, and so I'm just watching, you know, behind the scenes, and they go out on the town and do all these weird antics, and they'd have a tape show. And then they have the uncut version of the show. And so I was just watching them, and I thought, why don't I start connecting with these people on Facebook? So I started.
Called it connecting. We called it stalking. But that's, you know, just who tells the story, and just who tells the story.
So I was stalking these people on Facebook, and Thor was one of them. And as he said, I'm making these quirky, goofy Goldie the Goldfish videos. That was my pet goldfish. I refer to her as her. I'm not a marine biologist. I don't know if it's male or female, but I call her her. And she has her own Facebook
Because I think
page.
goldfish are actually freshwater fish, so it's a good thing you're not a marine biologist. So you'd be killing some fish, my friend.
Are we having fun yet? So anyway,
Somebody should have told Leland Clausen to tune into this part of the show.
Yeah. Yeah. Why don't you text him, Thor? Tell him we're in the funny part of the show.
Leland, we're being funny right now. Yeah.
So anyway, I'm sending these quirky Goldie the Goldfish videos to Thor and Michael Jr. and probably John Branyan, because I'm connecting with these comics from watching Thou Shalt Laugh and watching Bananas. And Thor was on several of the Thou Shalt Laughs. And anyway, he liked the aesthetic of what he saw. And so he reached out to me, and a very, very long story short, we ended up collaborating on Skip Listening, which is a short film, our very first short film collaboration of many. And we actually now have a feature-length version of Skip Listening as well that we hope we can get funded and made. But so if anybody
we have a feature script, not a feature-length version of. We have a feature script written. So you made it sound like we had a feature-length version of it. I don't want to get up people's hopes. You remember what happened? Remember what happened with the trailer we made? You know. Well,
you're jumping ahead of the story, Thor.
Yeah.
Okay, we have a feature-length script.
Yeah.
That is yes. Anyway, we have a feature-length script of Skip Listening. So fast forward later in 2010, because that was in early 2010, and that's when he told me about his script that at the time was called Youth Group. He told me about that. So later in the year,
it took so long to get made, though. We had to change the title to Church People because all the youth grew up by the time we got the movie made.
All the youth are old now.
So this is what Dave was referring to about the other interview. This right here. So anyway, we did a proof of concept trailer, which is like a mock trailer to envision people. Hey, if you would put money into this film, then this is what it could look like. So we took scenes from the script at the time and put it in the mock trailer, and I shopped that around the internet.
It was such a good trailer. It was such a good trailer. I had a giant youth conference that it was like, you know, a youth conference where they have about 2,000 youth workers come in, and they called me up and they go, "We'd like you to premiere the movie here." And I had to tell them, well, there isn't actually a movie. All we got is that trailer. So we appreciate it, but yeah, if you want to fund it, we could come back in a year. But they didn't go for it.
So after hitting up a whole bunch of people, celebrities, non-celebrities, famous pastors, non-famous pastors on Twitter and so forth, just sharing the trailer, asking them if they would retweet it, stuff like that.
To an embarrassing degree.
What's that?
To an embarrassing degree.
To an embarrassing degree. Yes, I was
sharing that thing. I'm like, Christopher, my third grade teacher saw this thing. I'm not sure she's, got the funds, but you're reaching people. I'm telling you that, you're reaching people.
Well, speaking of reaching people, I actually reached Stephen Baldwin, and he responded very favorably.
He's in a chat group with my third grade teacher, so that's great.
So Stephen basically tweeted back and said, "Who do I speak with directly to see how I can best support your vision for this project?" And if I remember correctly, the next morning I'm reading an email from Stephen Baldwin that basically says, "I've been looking for filmmakers with the right comic sensibility to do something just like this." And that began a process of, we started, we had a conversation on the phone that was like about a half hour. Then we had an in-person meeting a couple months or so later that was almost 3 hours, and he and his producing partner John were on board. So so they said they would help us find the funding, and then 3.5 years later, because not the first person you ask typically is going to give you $1.5 million or whatever your budget is.
1.7.
Well, it started at 1.5.
Well, let's go with the highest number. Just why start low and then go high? Just start high. Start with that.
It was upwards of a $2 million movie.
Almost $2 million. There you go.
Yeah,
it's huge for a Christian film.
Well, not only that, it's huge for a Christian comedy with a first-time lead actor and a first-time feature film director.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's almost unheard of.
Yes.
So we're very blessed and fortunate.
We owe that to Stephen, though. I will say that we owe that to Stephen Baldwin, because he said, "Let's keep what made that proof of concept trailer successful. What attracted me to that trailer? Let's keep that." And so that's why Michael Monks, who played Pastor Skip, was in that proof of concept trailer. So he ended up getting the role of Pastor Skip. We actually approached the actress who was in that proof of concept trailer, but she was doing production stuff now behind the camera. She wasn't in front of the camera anymore. But Erin Cahill, who we had play the lead, was like, wow, I was so amazed at her comedic timing. We cast her just as an actress, to someone who could act well, but man, she really brought the funny in place. So she did an amazing job. But Stephen said, so that's the only reason I got the lead role, is because I was in the proof of concept trailer. And so I don't know if that was wise in hindsight now, because I found out that smart filmmakers, after they get funding, then they go try to get a distribution deal before they actually film the project. But then the distribution companies then will have some control, and they will tell you, who to cast, who's marketable, etc. So they probably wouldn't have cast me, clearly. And so maybe that's why it took.
And we're not so sure they would have hired a Goldfish director either. So
yeah, exactly. Like, what's your name? I was lonely and I filmed my goldfish. Oh, okay.
But no, that's an amazing testimony, an amazing story. And Will, I'm gonna bring Will comment back up because he made a good point. He said that's a great budget and that's why we gotta support it. And honestly, like soon as Dave told me about it, I got super excited. So when I was down in Athens, Georgia, I was teaching ROTC at UGA for a while, and I met this other director of another Christian comedy called Small Group, and he had like $1 million budget, and so he was just kind of telling me, though, he was like, Hollywood or whoever don't really want to support Christian movies like that because they don't feel like they're gonna get a return on their investment. And so I don't know, for whatever reason, I'm in a season of my life where I'm like, man, we need Christian content. Like you get saved and you're trying to live, live different than the way you used to live and live different from the world. But then everything you turn on TV, Netflix is not Christian content. And then when we do have Christian content, like you said, you gotta like shop it around to a bunch of people, basically beg your family members like myself, speaking of which my cousins are on. And my buddy Will from high school is on. What's up, Will? My cousin Tanya and Joe Mill. But you gotta basically beg people to kind of support you or whatever. But the reality of it is, man, if we're brothers and sisters in Christ, we need to be supporting each other. So everybody who's watching, make sure you check out this movie.
So and we're thankful for. Go ahead, Christopher. I think
we found our funding for the next film. His family.
yeah. Let us know. We love to invest. We'll invest.
Everyone has to just throw in $10, and we got like a budget.
That's what I keep telling them about my ministry, the Blessing Ministry. If everybody just gave $10, we can do everything we need to do. I can hire some help the whole nine.
But we do want to thank Mike Lindell, who actually funded the film completely. Generally, films will have multiple investors, but Mike Lindell basically bankrolled this entire project. Mike Lindell of My Pillow fame. So, we thank Mike, and we'll I'll never back down from being associated with him. I'll tell you that. As much flack as he's gotten for whatever reason, it's like, I'm just going to stand by him, So he's my brother in Christ, and he funded this movie. So he's my lifelong friend.
So let me ask you this: with COVID and everything, I guess how's that going to work with getting them in theaters? Are y'all thinking that through?
Well, are we thinking it through?
Too late now because it's in theaters this weekend.
Yeah, it's in theaters tomorrow night. Saturday, March 13th, Sunday, a matinee, March 14th, and Monday, March 15th, Monday night. But theaters are starting to open up. As a matter of fact, y'all were talking about Southern California seemingly not open. We weren't open a few weeks ago up here in Northern California, but there's 3 theaters that I'm aware of in the general area that I'm in. Napa, San Rafael, and San Francisco are all screening Church People.
Wow.
So, it's so you want to keep checking that website where it says tickets and showtimes or theaters and showtimes or theater tickets or whatever that tickets button says.
It's churchpeoplefilm.com, and it just depends on what state you live in and how open your state is, but it's showing all over the country. March 13th.
Amen, Will. Amen, Will.
Yeah. So there's an option too for pastors to play it at their church as well. Y'all want to talk about that?
Yeah.
So really the main hub for the movie is the website, churchpeoplefilm.com. So when you go there, you can check theaters and showtimes and get your tickets. There's also a button there that I believe it says host a showing. You want to tell your pastors and church leaders about that one because that's how you can bring it to your facility. And then also when you go to the website, churchpeoplefilm.com, how many times in the same show can we say churchpeoplefilm.com, by the way? One more time, churchpeoplefilm.com, scroll down to the bottom where it says sign up, and you want to sign up for the updates because there's some big announcements coming soon, including how you can see the film if you weren't able to make it to the theater.
Oh, yeah.
Very soon.
Yeah, there's
really sign up for updates.
Yeah, so there's
in your inbox, and you're not relying on maybe possibly seeing it on social media.
There's a 3-prong rollout. So it's in theaters this weekend for three nights, and then there'll be another announcement of how you can see it. There's the month-long possibility for churches to have a theatrical release in their churches, and then the third prong really is the digital release. That'll be like Prime and whatever it's called. Anyway, digital platforms. That's whatever they are.
Well, there's at least 3 rollouts. There might be 4. So I mean, that's why you want to stay updated because I'm finding out new stuff regularly about.
Yeah. And he's the director,
down the pike,
so that tells you.
Yeah, I got on there as soon as I found out. I got on there and looked, but yeah, the closest one for us was like 2 hours away. But now that they open theaters, I'm gonna go back and check and see.
2 hours? That's not bad, man. I'd go for 2.
Well, is it about 2 hours, Jell? I think it was about 2 hours. I don't know. I'm hoping my pastor gets it because I told him, I was like, hey, Pastor Daniel, listen, can you please sign up for this so we can all come watch this together as a church? So hopefully he gets approved. I don't know the approval process, but I know he requested. So.
And being that he's your uncle, he'll be more apt to do it.
No, he's not my uncle. All my family's back in Georgia, and I'm over here. I'm out here in LA. But Jesus Center, if you're in Pedro, great church and great pastors, Pastor Daniel, Pastor Jeremy. Shout out to them. They show us mad love over there. So I'm really grateful for my pastors. Man, what else? What other question y'all have? I got a bunch of questions, so y'all better start asking before I take over. Look at my brother ATL. So first and foremost, I just wanted to make this clear because there's no way I was gonna let this opportunity go by without saying this. But on my bucket list, I want to be an actor in something. I don't care if it's like a commercial where it's like, hey, pick up that trash. So, like whatever the line is. I just want to be able to do one line in one movie. And check that off my box. So if y'all ever need a black guy number 7, then I'm your man.
We're cast for you, and your line's going to be pick up that trash. That's what your line's going to be.
Yeah. Hey, brother, what are you doing? Pick that trash up. Hey, whatever you need.
Trash up. That's right.
Oh my God.
That was a great audition. Your cast.
I'm convinced there's trash near you. It's like that's how real that is. So,
well, thank you. I try. I told my wife, I was like, listen, all I need is one sentence. It can't be one of those roles where it's like the camera passed by. I'm like, yeah, see, that's who I am. No, I need an actual role. I need to say something. I need to, hey, you've been served. Something like that.
You've been served. Now pick up that trash. There you go. Yeah. We combine them.
Hey, Thor, here's your piano.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Oh.
Dave, where did you go? Would you go take down your Christmas lights or something? What happened to you?
Yeah.
Who was the DOP of the movie? What's DOP? I don't know the movie lingo.
Director of photography, Bo Hakala. Shout out to Bo Hakala. He was our DP, cinematographer, director of photography. He did a fabulous job. Somebody under him was our gaffer was Brock Kingsland. So man, great stuff. I mean, we were surrounded by consummate professionals. First AD Joth Riggs. Just go to IMDb and look up Joth Joth Riggs, and prepare to be blown away.
Joth is a great Christian guy too.
Man.
And we had every Christian filmmaker kind of has their own philosophy of filmmaking, but our writer, our director, a lot of our main actors were all Christians, but we had a mixed crew. Like a lot of the crew were a lot of non-Christians but we just wanted to make a good film, so we hired professionals, because as long as the people who have creative control are believers, I think that's the primary thing.
Right.
So some people feel differently about that. They want everyone to be a Christian on the set, and we don't happen to go that route, because we had some actually great ministry opportunities too. I was talking to somebody today, and they asked me, I forget what their question was, but it was basically, can you tell me any God moments that happened during the filming? And and I remember one specifically where, matter of fact, it was the scene that I don't know if this scene it's in the trailer. You got China Phillips and William Baldwin, who are actually married in real life. China Phillips, that people might know from Wilson Phillips, back when they were a group, probably, what was that, like the early 90s maybe? When were they
early
90s? I don't know how far back it goes, but I had their set, if y'all remember.
I owned it because I had
early 90s.
My wife will never see this podcast, but I had a huge crush on China Phillips back in the day.
Thanks.
So I'm never gonna. But they did a scene together, and in this, and we were filming in a home. It was one day we were actually in a home, and I forget why, but there was a break that we had in between filming. So there were about 15 cast and crew just sitting in this living room, and I don't know how, because I didn't plan this out, but I don't know how the conversation was going, but one of the crew actually goes, "So what exactly is the gospel?"
Woo! Yes.
So literally for literally 15 minutes, I was just sharing about what the gospel, is, what Jesus did. And so that was one of those for me. And at that moment too, I'm going, this was, how we phrase it, this was a God moment during the filming of Church.
Man, that's good. That's good. Hopefully I got some behind the scene footage of that. That'd be some good for the DVD.
Well, we didn't unpack.
Yeah. Oh man, hold on. Will got a question. Let's bring him up. He says, how was it bringing all those egos together for a Christian film?
Oh,
well,
egos.
Christopher and I have done like probably close to a dozen short films together. And even on these short films, like Skip Listening, the first one we did was a 3-day shoot. And we had a crew that was comparable to a 20-day feature film production. And but over the time that Christopher and I worked together, we started developing kind of a motto, because when you bring a bunch of creatives together, you do have a lot of egos. You have a lot of people who, and it's everyone who's creative feels like their creative vision is the right one, because it's very subjective. And so that's what you get a lot of, is like, well, I think it should be done this way, and I think it should be done this way. So it's, so there can be tension on the set. But Christopher and I developed this motto. Whenever we'd feel any tension building up on the set, one of us would just yell, "Fun!" Because we're making a movie. Even if it's a short film or a feature, this is fun. We're doing what most people dream of doing. Are you kidding me? This should be fun. So throw the egos aside, throw the tension aside. It should be fun. And I will say that the experience of making Church People was fun. It was we had fun making the film. That there was no, well, at least from my experience, there's not really there wasn't tension on the set. Not that there wasn't any moments, but overall, it was a really fun shoot, and I believe that translated into the film itself. Because that atmosphere, if you have like I said, I was joking before, I don't know if Christopher heard it, but he's not a slave driver director. So he doesn't bring, it's like he doesn't bring that, it doesn't change the atmosphere. It's supportive. So, if you create that tension and that atmosphere on the set, it affects the performances in the film, I think.
Yeah.
Trickles down.
Yeah, I bet you can't be too hard when you used to filming Goldfish. So his years of Goldfish filming probably translated over.
I'll tell you, that Goldfish had a fragile ego. Fragile.
And a lawyer from PETA.
And a lawyer from PETA.
I just wanted to point out with what Thor had said about how he saw the opportunities of doing ministry there, and I really thought that was really key. I'm glad that you guys opened it up for not just all Christians, although I don't have anything against that, but whenever there's some opportunity to reach other people that have not yet heard of the gospel or have forgotten God, that they have another chance of like, okay, this is another way of coming back to the fold, so that was really cool. That's good. Thank you so much for that.
And to be able to represent in a fun way as well, because a lot of people, who the non-Christians think, oh, I don't want to do the God thing, because now you can't have fun, you can't laugh, you can't do, like, there's all these can't do's, but this movie is going to show that, hey, there is, Dave, show that we can, we honor God, but yet we still have a sense of humor. We can laugh, we can have a good time, and it's clean
God
and it's
has
good.
a sense of humor.
That's what I say.
He has to. He made somebody like Dave. He has to.
If he created all things, he created the sense of humor. So
right.
It's funny too. I forget about this, but after the very first scene we shot, which was the boardroom scene, that was the very first scene we shot in the movie. Bo, who was our director of photography, came up to me after the scene and he goes, "Thanks, Thor." I'm like, "What?" And he goes, "I'm thankful you can act," because he was concerned because, well, number one, because it was a Christian film. And number two, he knew I was a pastor. So he's like, how good can this guy be if he is like, So I always took that as a well, that kind of set the tone for the rest of the production.
Man,
Well,
so go ahead, Dave. I'm sorry.
Have you guys received any pushback about having fun with a church message? Have you guys been criticized at all by what the message or what the theme of the film is?
Just go to our Facebook page and
I don't read the comments. Well, I think that's been in the minority though, from my perspective.
Yeah, it has been. It's been the vast minority for sure.
Yes, yeah. Because I think it's again, I think there's a little problem with that mindset. First of all, but I always tell people you can only satirize what you love, and that's what we did. We love Jesus and we love the church. So the film does not come across as mean by any stretch of the imagination. Now, when you see people satirize something or some group or some person that they don't love, it comes across as mean. And we've all seen those movies. I mean, I can name some of those movies where they satirize an American president or some other figure that they don't particularly care for, and it comes across as mean. And so our film doesn't come across that way. Now, we deal with a serious subject, and I think a lot of times Christians struggle with this. Their Christian life, especially Christians who they're committed to their Lord, they're committed to their walk with the Savior. So it's like they take that seriously. They take the gospel seriously. So how do you do a lighthearted movie about the gospel if you take the gospel seriously? And I think they have a real problem with, in their minds, they can't, like, it's right away, it's blasphemous. If you're doing comedy and you're dealing with the subject of the gospel, how can you do that? And I go, well, I would encourage you to watch the film, and you'll see how it's done. I hope. It's like
there's a redemptive theme in art throughout the entire thing.
Yeah, I don't think anyone will watch this film and go, "There's no way we made fun of the gospel in this film at all."
Yeah,
and
the film's really about someone who's fighting for the integrity of the gospel.